What was the state of the universe and the earth before God commanded, "Let there be light"? Let's find out. Genesis 1:2 describes this as, "Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters." So what does this mean? First, what we need to understand here is that light was not the first substance in the universe. The Bible says that before God commanded, "Let there be light," there was already earth and water. Genesis 1:1 says that God created heavens and the earth, which means everything, including the sky and the land. Then in verse 2, it says, "The earth was formless and empty." And it tells us that the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. Second, the earth and the water was not yet separated. Genesis 1:2 tells us the earth was formless and empty. Then in verse 7, God made a vault to separate the water below from the water above. And in verses 9 to 10, God gathered the waters under the sky into one place, revealing the dry ground which he called the land, and he gathered the waters he called the seas. So in the beginning, there was land like dust and water like mist together. After the water was divided into the sky and the earth, above and below, the land and the sea were formed from the lower water. It's like when you stir up a muddy water and let it sit, the clear water is on top and the mud settles at the bottom. Much like the land came out separately from the lower water. Of course, when we look at the context, we can see that the earth in Genesis 1:2 and the land in verse 10 are clearly different. It's like how the water in 1:2 is clearly different from the seas in 1:10. Third, the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. Here, waters refers to the water before the vault was created, which divided the water below the vault, called the sky, from the water above it. So when it says that the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters, it means that he was moving on the outer boundary of the universe. This reminds me of the image of a criminal being confined in a prison and guarded so they cannot escape. God bound and guarded Satan, the criminal, within the universe. The only one who can bind Satan is the eternal God. In this sense, the phrase, "the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters" in Genesis 1:2, and the phrase, "kept in darkness, bound with everlasting chains" in Jude 1:6 convey the same meaning. In any country, criminals are in prison jails or detention centers. Even death row inmates are imprisoned for some time, and guards and security personnel are stationed to watch over them until they receive their punishment. Much like God imprisoned Satan in the universe and commanded angels to guard him until he receives his punishment. Thank you for watching. See you next time.